We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hello and a very warm welcome. My name is Molly Gambhir and this is Gravitas in a new look, but the same old spirit. Let's get started. We are coming to you live from the WION headquarters in Noida, India. It is 9 p.m. IST and we are very excited to present to you the new look of Gravitas. A changed look for an evolved audience. And speaking of changes, there are some things that will never change, like China's greed for land. That is our top story tonight. China is once again threatening India's Siachen. It is secretly building a road, one capable of moving troops and tanks. Remember, this is Indian territory. The question is China trying to provoke India? Is China trying to repeat history? You see, we have seen this scenario playing out for decades now. And as China becomes more and more belligerent, what does it mean for India's security? What does it mean for the India-China relationship? We explore these questions and more tonight. Also on the show for you tonight, the menace of deepfakes has hit Gravitas and this channel. We tell you about a deepfake video featuring me. In this video, I'm seen saying something that was never said on air.
Project in which he has already invested more than $3 billion. The new project opens up great investment opportunities for absolutely all Indians. Many Indians have already increased their wealth tenfold and continue to do so.
More on that coming up in our segment, Good, Bad and Ugly of AI. Also on the show for you, the United States is buying 81 old Soviet-era planes from Kazakhstan. What will America do with Soviet scrap? Will it send it to Ukraine? We get you a detailed report on the show. That's coming up shortly. Also coming up, we tell you why India should get to host the 2036 Olympics. India is bidding for the games, as is Saudi Arabia, Qatar and a host of other countries. In fact, we get you that story in our new segment, A Touch of India. But belligerent China is at it again. It is threatening India's Siachen glacier. Just take a look at where Siachen is located. It is part of the Indian Union territory Ladakh and is located in the eastern Karakoram range in the Himalayas, just northeast of the point NJ9842, where the line of control between India and Pakistan ends. At the height of 6,000 feet, Siachen is the world's highest battleground, with soldiers having to battle frostbite, high winds. India has full control over the glacier, and now China has set its eyes on it. It is constructing a road in the illegally occupied Kashmir close to the Siachen glacier. The road is being constructed in Shaksgam Valley, a section of POK ceded to China in 1963. In fact, satellite images show a trail branching out from an extension of Highway G219, which is located in China's Xinjiang province. The trail disappears into the mountains at a place approximately 50 kilometers north of India's northernmost part. The Indra Col in Siachen Glacier. What is Indra Col? It is a forward area of India. In fact, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has toured Indra Col at least 2 times since March. Now, before we go any further, it must be clear that this road is totally illegal. China is brazenly making a road on Indian territory hand in glove with the Pakistani government. You see, when China says that the Kashmir issue is a bilateral dispute between India and Pakistan, it is an attempt at covering up its own tracks. Like I mentioned earlier, Shaksgam Valley is Indian territory illegally ceded by Pakistan to China in the year 1963. And therefore, China's support for Pakistan is motivated by its own desire to continue its land grab. Let me explain how and why it matters. You see, the road that the Chinese are building lies in the Trans-Karakoram Tract. It has historically been part of Kashmir and India. The Trans-Karakoram Tract, spread over about 5,300 square kilometers, was illegally taken by Pakistan in the 1947 war. It was then handed over to China as part of their bilateral boundary agreement, signed in 1963. India, of course, did not recognize it. As far as India is concerned, any change in the status quo in this part of occupied Kashmir amounts to violation of India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. But there is more to it. There are concerns in India that such infrastructure projects threaten the existing security scenario in the region. New Delhi's concerns are also driven by reports of greater military cooperation between Pakistan and China in this region. In 2021, Pakistan's Gilgit-Baltistan province announced plans for a new road connecting Muzaffarabad to Mustaq Pass, which sits on the Pakistan border with Shaksgam Valley. Reports suggested it would be linked to Yarkand in China's Xinjiang province, indicating that the road might pass through the Shaksgam Valley to connect with China's national highway G219. The Chinese are building roads with one purpose. No points for guessing what that is. In one word, control. Defense experts say that the Chinese roads in Shaksgam Valley are primarily meant for transporting minerals like uranium, allegedly mined from Gilgit-Baltistan, to be transported to Xinjiang. But defense experts don't rule out the potential use of these roads for military maneuvers by Pakistan and Chinese armies. You see, in the last several years, China has tried every trick in its playbook to change the status quo at the disputed border with India. China's land grab bids are strategically planned, and the goal is to make a permanent Chinese presence in these areas. What is India's official position? It is clear and has been stated many times. Both Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Aksai Chin has been and always will be an integral part of India. Therefore, the China-Pakistan nexus in POK violates India's traditional and legal rights and territorial rights. China going ahead and developing infrastructure on this land, therefore, presents a clear and present danger to India, while India's engagement with Pakistan on the line of control is governed by the 1972 Shimla Agreement. There is no such agreement between India and China over the Shaksgam Valley. And that is why China acts so brazenly in this region. Between 2017 and 2018, China built a metalled road in Lower Shaksgam Valley. Then last year, India lodged strong diplomatic protests with Beijing for showing the Aksai Chin Plateau as its official territory. Experts have also pointed how China's infrastructure building in Western Himalayas follows the confrontation that broke out between Indian and Chinese forces at the border in the year 2017. At this point, China's aggressive moves across all sectors of the border with India are well documented. But here's the thing. China's military aggression in POK is far more sinister. New roads, new posts, new infrastructure, they all point to China's goal of opening up an additional route for Chinese troops and tanks along the LAC. India and China have already fought one war over Aksai Chin in 1962. At that time as well, China's road building triggered the war. Is China trying to repeat history? And our next story is about China's global spy network. You heard that right. It has America and Europe worried. With every agent and operation, Chinese spies are becoming bolder and more dangerous. Just take the case of Europe, where within the span of a week, 3 alleged spies for China were arrested in Germany. 2 more suspects, in fact, were charged in the UK. 2 weeks ago, we told you about sleeper cells in the Philippines and the allegations over the same. Analysts warn that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Is China becoming a major spying superpower? Here's what's new. Last week, Germany and the UK announced that 5 individuals had been arrested or charged on suspicion of spying for China. Now, the timing is very crucial. They were busted in the lead up to the European elections. While the West has had to grapple with claims of Chinese espionage for a while now, it now looks like the Chinese spies have reached high offices in Europe.
Chinese spies are not gathering information only, but they are also using their possibilities for getting political influence. So especially in this case of this member of the European Parliament. And China is using its spy activity to getting political influence, especially on extremist parties on the far right and on the far left.
In fact, one of the accused charged in London was a researcher for the UK Parliament. It means that this person would have had access to politicians, to people who could actually influence Britain's policy, especially about China. Another person arrested in Germany was an aide to a far-right member of the European Parliament. While there is no direct evidence linking the cases in UK and Germany, they coincide with repeated Western warnings about China's growing spy network. The West has expressed concern about China's attempts to spy on European economies and companies, infiltrate their educational institutions, and also shape public opinion. These cases are a warning in bright red. They are a stark reminder of China's extensive intelligence network and its capability to infiltrate European capitals. What does China have to say about it, you ask? It vehemently denies allegations of wrongdoing. The Chinese embassies in Berlin and London rejected the spying accusations. The Chinese embassies described these charges, in fact, as political manipulation aimed at hurting the image of China. But experts are not surprised. They have for long warned about Chinese spies. The US knows a thing or two about the Chinese threat, but its friends across the Atlantic, Europe, has been slow to recognize this very threat. And Europe is now in a fix. The governments do not know how to deal with the Chinese threat. You see, a strict action against China would be bad for business. After all, the EU has built itself on the principles of free trade and multilateralism. The arrests in Germany came just days after the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz visited Beijing to clinch deals for his country's agriculture sectors. And what's more, Chinese President Xi Jinping is also scheduled to visit Paris, Budapest, Belgrade soon. No wonder then European leaders face a rather tricky balance. While the West grapples with these questions, the vast and multifaceted Chinese spy network continues to grow. And here's what else we know about China's spy network. According to Western intelligence agencies, Chinese spying activities, particularly those led by its civilian espionage body, the Ministry of State Security, are real. What is the Ministry for State Security? It is a civilian secret police service that the US describes as a combination of FBI and CIA. In fact, they say that it is responsible for both counterintelligence as well as political security for Chinese communist regime. It has also been accused of spying abroad along with the theft of foreign intelligence and technology. So how exactly do the Chinese spy networks operate? What's their modus operandi? By focusing on safeguarding the regime's survival, intelligence gathering, and also information warfare, it involves a wide array of actors, from state organizations to non-state entities like hacktivists, private security companies. However, the true extent of China's spy operations remains elusive, basically due to the opaque nature of its bureaucratic system.
China and, of course, the other rival powers will make use of all available means in order to secure their security, their national security, the definition of which is becoming more broad, and at the same time to gain advantage. And so through means fair and foul, through the use of a wide range of means already at their disposal.
Further, there is a lack of verifiable information. What is the end goal, you ask? Undermining the hegemony of the West. According to analysts, China's best friend in this game is Russia. The writing is on the wall. There are signs that Chinese espionage network often intersect with Russian networks. They both have similar goals, by the way. They win by sowing doubt about democracy and gaining influence among those that challenge political divisions. As far as the scale of the China spying operations in Europe is concerned, it is potentially vast. In the year 2019, EU's Foreign Service warned that there were about 250 Chinese spies, Brussels and 200 Russian agents. Europe has increased its focus on the Chinese spy network after the Ukraine war started. Europe has just scratched the surface of the Chinese threat. Is it too late? Only time will tell. And here's a look at some other stories that we have lined up for you tonight. Vaccine maker AstraZeneca has admitted that its COVID vaccines may have rare side effects. What does it mean for those who have taken the jabs? On the show tonight, we tell you exactly what AstraZeneca has told a court in the UK. That's coming up in our brand new segment, Quote Unquote. Also on the show for you tonight, Mitsuko Totori's rise from a cabin crew to the CEO of Japan Airlines is not going down too well with the Japanese. News outlets, in fact, are calling her an alien molecule. This is a country where less than 1% of the companies are led by women. We bring you Totori's story on Gravitas Snapshot tonight. And in our segment, Gravitas Deep Dive, we tell you why European plane maker Airbus must assemble in India. Why is the United States buying Soviet scrap? Reports say it has acquired 81 Soviet-era combat aircraft from Kazakhstan. And let me tell you, all these aircraft are obsolete. They are not in usable condition, basically. So what exactly is America planning to do with them? Swing the junk towards Ukraine. Is that what is happening? You see, for several years, Kazakhstan has been gradually getting rid of its outdated fleet of Soviet-made combat aircraft. It has been replacing them with modern versions, and this includes the Russian Su-30SM multi-role aircraft. In October, the Kazakh government put up 117 Soviet-era fighter and bomber aircraft for auction, and this included MiG-31 interceptors, MiG-27 fighter bombers, MiG-29 fighters, Su-24 bombers, produced in the 1970s and 1980s. In fact, the declared value for the sale was some $2.2 million. The government had disclosed that the aircraft were not in any condition to be used. Their modernization was economically impractical, and even their use as a source for spare parts, was limited. And despite that, the US reportedly went ahead and bought 81 of the 117 aircraft. My question here is, what for? Well, the US will not say. It has not declared the reason for this purchase. But you know what? All the outdated models that the US has bought are currently in service in Ukraine. So the immediate question is it planning to send the Soviet-era scrap to Kiev? The Kiev Post has made these claims, but you see, there are two sides to this story. According to Russian state media, RT, Kazakhstan has dismissed the reports of this sale. It has cited Kazakh state defense contractor Kaspek Export for the same. Now, it's difficult to tell, sitting here, which side is actually stating the truth. But what we can tell you is that there is precedent here. This has happened before. Ukraine's Western allies have purchased and transferred a plethora of Soviet military equipment to Ukraine. In fact, most of the equipment in the Ukrainian military at the beginning of the war was Soviet era. We are talking about tanks, aircraft, artillery. When the war broke out, Poland announced it would send Soviet-designed T-72 tanks to Ukraine. It also offered to send Soviet-made MiG-29 jets. Slovakia provided Ukraine with the S-300 anti-aircraft missile defense systems. The Czech Republic sent T-72s, which began service in 1973. You see, Eastern European countries have been more than happy to offload their old equipment to Ukraine and in exchange get newer models from the West. Now, it is America's turn, it seems. Let me tell you exactly how old these planes are. MiG-31 interceptors took the maiden flight back in 1975. It was the first Soviet fighter aircraft to have true look down and shoot down capability. The MiG-27 fighter bombers also entered frontline service in 1975. They were designed specifically for ground attack missions. As for the MiG-29 fighters, they were designed for gaining air superiority in the Soviet Union in the early 1970s. Initially, it was only an air fighter, but eventually it became a multi-role aircraft capable of precise attacks on the ground targets. All these aircraft date back to the 1970s. So, of what use really are they in this day and age? The suggestion is that the armed forces of Ukraine would disassemble them for spare parts or basically use the obsolete airframes as decoys at airfields. But is that really the answer? Russia, on the other hand, is deploying modern combat aircraft. What chance does Ukraine's aging fleet stand against that? And how are more Soviet-era aircraft going to help? It is April 2024, and it is time for Airbus to set up an assembly line in India. Let's deep dive. In a little over a year, airlines from India have placed orders for at least 1,220 planes, 1,220 planes. Just last week, Indigo placed an order for 30 Airbus A350s. These are wide-body planes. They are mostly used for long-haul flights. Indigo has ordered 30 of these planes. In addition to that, Indigo also purchased the rights for 70 Airbus A350s, meaning if Indigo needs these 70 planes in the future, Airbus should be in a position to provide them. In June 2023, Indigo placed the order for 500 Airbus A320 planes. This was the largest ever single aircraft purchase deal for Airbus. In fact, in its press release in June, Indigo mentioned how it also, quote, has previous orders which are yet to be delivered. This is for around 180 planes. In 2023, Air India also placed an order for 250 Airbus planes. Orders were also placed for Boeing jets by Air India and Akasa, taking the total to 1,220. Now, this number is basically indicative of India's aviation boom. And the question is, what is stopping Airbus from assembling in India? Now, what do we mean by assemble? The plane, as you see it, is not built at once, or for that matter, in one place. The engine is flown in from one part of the world, for example. The body is made elsewhere. The door comes in from somewhere else. The wings from another factory. The seats, so on and so forth. Finally, they are all put together in an assembly belt. These are huge facilities. They employ thousands of people. In Canada, where Airbus assembles its A220 family single-aisle aircraft, the company employs 4,000 people. It has also created around 23,000 indirectly sustained jobs. On its own website, Airbus claims that the average wage of Airbus Canada's employees dedicated to the A220 program in Quebec is 87% higher than the average salary for all industries in Quebec. A PwC study for Airbus Canada mentions that the economic impact of the A220 program on Canada is $40 billion over 20 years. $40 billion. Airlines in India have ordered 850 Airbus jets in less than 2 years. Each of these planes costs over $100 million. The value of the total order, you calculate, and then tell me why Airbus should not give back a portion of this business to India. I will tell you why Airbus must assemble in India. Number one, Airbus is slated to get more business from India in the coming years. By 2030, India is expected to have 220 airports, 1,500 planes, 42.5 crore annual passengers, domestic and international. Today, more airlines from India are looking to fly non-stop to Europe, Australia, the US. More airlines are looking to connect every city and town of India, because what you have in India is a growing middle class. It no longer sees flight travel as a luxury, for example, rather as essential, a necessity, which explains why Airbus today is sitting on a mix of orders. Indigo is looking for wide-bodied planes. Air India has placed orders for narrow-bodied A321neo, A320neo, wide-bodied A350-900s, A350-1000s. Again, what is stopping Airbus from riding this very wave? Number two, stakeholders are already excited to be a part of India's growth story. The A350 planes that Airbus has ordered, they will be powered by Rolls-Royce's engines. The latter's chief customer officer, Evan McDonald, has recently said that India is an important market and its future promises to be exciting. Point number three, Airbus is already making helicopters and military transport planes in India. Airbus has signed a deal, in fact, with the Tata Group. The two will be making the H125 civilian helicopter. Tata and Airbus have also already agreed to build C-295 military transport aircraft in India. So India has assembling experience and Airbus understands the potential. So again, what is stopping them from opening another assembly line? What is stopping Airbus from generating jobs in India? Airbus says the company is increasing its headcount in India. The CEO of Airbus recently said that the company will have 5,000 employees in India by 2025. But also said, and I'm quoting here, actually, we are putting final assembly lines, but not commercial aircraft, unquote. The question is, why not? Earlier this year, India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal said that Airbus and Boeing will quote-unquote at some stage have to consider setting up final assembly lines in India. And he is right, it's high time. In October 2022, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was at the foundation ceremony of the Tata Airbus C295 aircraft manufacturing facility in Vadodara. Prime Minister Modi said India would soon be manufacturing big passenger jets in India. In March last year, India's Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia was asked if time has come for Airbus to set up assembly plants in India. He said, and I'm quoting, absolutely, with a capital A. The time is perfect. India has a great manufacturing ecosystem. India has skilled labor. India also has the world's best engineers. What's more, the math is just right. Experts tell us that an assembly facility can put together anything between 5 to 20 planes a month. Let's consider 10 to be on the safer side. 10 planes a month means 120 a year. India alone is placing orders for 800 Airbus jets. And it will need more in the coming years. Assembling in India not just helps Airbus save on the labor costs, but also deliver faster. I'll explain this. As per Airbus's order book, it has 8,626 aircraft it needs to deliver. This is as per the orders placed till March 2024. Indigo's recent order, by the way, was after that. So add a minimum of plus 30 to that number. The previous order was for 500 A320 planes. These are assembled in Europe. In France, to be more specific, France is facing supply chain issues. It is no secret. This is being widely reported. There is shortage of plane seats, chips, raw materials, labor. A320 planes are also assembled in Germany, but there too, you have a supply chain crisis. There is a war being fought in Europe. Businesses are facing the consequences of COVID-19 and geopolitical instability. There is also a facility in China's Tianjin, and it is from here that Airbus delivers to Asian airlines. But just how reliable is China? How safe is it to do business with China? Companies are moving out of China. They are making in India. It does not help Airbus to be an exception. On its website, Airbus says, the sun never sets on Airbus. Aircraft assembly lines. But for that to really be true, Airbus must make India its 6th point of assembly. Indian economy is better placed than all of the 5 countries Airbus is assembling in. France, Germany, China, the US, Canada. What's more, India is self-sufficient. An assembly point here will not have to depend on quality seats from outside. India manufacturers can make them. And what's more, India has good relations with all of the Asian countries. Let me repeat that. India has good relations with all of the Asian countries Airbus supplies to. Airbus also has some of its biggest clients in Asia: Cathay Pacific, Thai Airways, Air Asia, Singapore Airlines, also comparatively smaller airlines like Biman Bangladesh, Garuda. Assembling in India helps cater to Asian airlines. It keeps orders out of the conflict zone and outside problematic China. And what's more, India will be the largest market for aircraft for the next 20 to 25 years. Airbus cannot possibly not have a civilian plane assembly line here. Japan Airlines finally has its first female CEO. Her name is Mitsuko Totori. She started her career as a flight attendant and now she has climbed up her way to the C-suite. In a country, by the way, where women still face major hurdles to rise to power, Totori has broken glass ceilings, and how? Tonight on Gravitas Snapshot, we get you her story.
Mitsuko Totori has become the first ever woman CEO of Japan Airlines. 40 years ago, nobody could have imagined Totori would rise to this height. Not even Totori herself. She started her career as a humble flight attendant. The year was 1985. She was 20 years old at that time, fresh out of Kwasui Women's Junior College in Nagasaki. So how did Totori climb the ladder? By sheer competence and willpower. The C-suites in Japanese companies rarely open the doors for women, but Totori kept on toiling. For how long? 3 whole decades. In 2015, she was appointed as a senior director of cabin attendants. Then on, there was no looking back. Totori kept on getting promoted through the ranks. The former flight attendant was steadily ascending to the top of an airline. That is unheard of. Just look at Totori's predecessors. So far, Japan Airlines has had 10 individuals at the top spot. They have all graduated from prestigious universities. One had a background in aviation maintenance. Another started out as a pilot. But most importantly, they have all been men, the preferred gender in the traditional Japanese society. So how did Totori beat all these men to become the CEO of Japan Airlines? The carrier says it is owing to her high level of insight and field experience in safe flight operations and service through her career. Totori has a spotless record. She ensured safe operations during the COVID-19 pandemic. As a former flight attendant herself, Totori has learned the importance of aviation safety firsthand. In fact, the year she joined the airline, she said she would make safety a priority, and Totori has done exactly that. Her journey is a proof that your competence and work ethic can even beat fancy degrees and theoretical knowledge. This comes as Japan Inc. struggles to address a glaring gender gap and improve diversity at top firms. Japan ranks poorly in several global gender parity indices. As of 2023, less than 1% of Japan's major companies are led by women. What's more, women hold only 12.9% of senior leadership roles in corporate offices. Maybe that is why many Japanese media outlets did not take Totori's rise to power that well. Many local headlines used phrases like unusual and no way. One website even described her as an alien molecule or a mutant. This was in reference to her having worked at an airline named Japan Air System. Japan Airlines bought this airline 2 decades ago. It's just another example of how Japan lags behind in terms of gender equality. Totori's journey serves as a model for women in Japanese companies. It highlights the need for broader reforms in training and promotion policies so that more women can break through existing glass ceilings. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Here on Gravitas, we have been telling you time and again about deepfakes, how dangerous they are, how they can mislead people watching the video, how they can basically tarnish someone's image for no fault of theirs, and how the deepfake menace has hit a series of celebrities and well-known personalities. Tonight, I am not going to tell you about deepfake videos of someone else, but how a deepfake video has targeted me. Yes, a deepfake video of me. It's scary and infuriating and basically highlights once again how dangerous deepfakes really are. If you have been watching this show regularly, you would know we have a segment called Good, Bad and Ugly of AI, Well, this is a story about the extremely ugly side of AI. In our segment tonight, we get you the story about deepfakes hitting Gravitas and WION World is One. Are you wondering what I'm talking about? Have a look at this fake video.
So here's the latest news. The Indians get a huge profit from this. The founder of Infosys presented his new project in which he has already invested more than $3 billion. The new project opens up great investment opportunities for absolutely all Indians. Many Indians have already increased their wealth tenfold and continue to do so. No other project has ever provided Indians with such opportunities. Given the interesting features of the app and having seen how it works, we believe it is safe to say that it is legitimate and that the trading app allows users to enjoy trading without any difficulties. We decided to interview him personally, and here's what he said about it.
Now, I don't need to point this out for you. You must have noticed that already. That is not my voice. I repeat, that is not my voice. Basically, I did not say those words, but this video makes it seem like I did. It uses a voice that is not mine to make it seem like I said those things. And if you look carefully, you can see the lower half of my face even looks a bit distorted because it has been altered to make it seem like I am actually saying those words. Just imagine how scary this really is. Now, before I go on, let me just explain to you what deepfakes really are all about. In case you are not aware already, deepfakes basically are videos in which the face of a person is altered. Deepfakes use artificial intelligence or AI to manipulate or generate content to make it appear authentic. Deepfakes are a tool for spreading misinformation and trying to tarnish reputations. The videos appear to look real, but they are not. Imagine having your face placed on someone else's, for example, and that person could be doing or saying anything. Sounds extremely scary, right? If fake news was not dangerous enough already, now you also have a deepfake video of me, a news anchor. Being journalists, we never want to become the story. Unfortunately, that is happening today. I was shocked to see this video. Imagine just waking up one day to see a video of you which shows you saying something that you actually have not. And that is why the world of deepfakes is so dangerous, because someone can make it seem like you said or did something when you actually have not. Even a president of a country is not safe from the deepfake menace. Take, for example, what happened with the president of the Philippines. Just a few days ago, a fabricated audio clip featuring the leader triggered alarm. Deepfakes have been making headlines for a while now. The Prime Minister of Italy earlier, we told you, was in the news for her battle against deepfakes, for example. Multiple celebrities have been the targets of deepfakes. Deepika Padukone, Alia Bhatt, Amir Khan, Ranveer Singh, the list goes on. The question is, when and where does this end? And why just public figures? Even children are not safe. Earlier, we told you how a shocking report brought to light the threat posed by AI to children. A report by a US-based child protection organization made serious revelations. The report said that child sexual exploitation is on the rise online. And what's even scarier is that AI-generated images are playing a part in this. As per the organization, some children and families were extorted with AI-generated photos and videos. Imagine children being seen in deepfakes. Like I said, there have been a series of deepfake-related scandals that have made headlines, but they were related to adults. That children are also being subjected to this horrific act is heartbreaking. And now we have this deepfake video of me, a news anchor. Why should anyone have to go through this? You see, the video looks real. It's been made to look real, but it's not. And that's the extremely dangerous part. Imagine the ways in which people can be misled. How would they know this video is not real? When and where does this even stop? The challenges and threats posed by artificial intelligence are real. The threat is as real as it gets, but just how prepared is the human race to actually deal with these dangers? The thing is, there is no getting away from AI. AI is going to increasingly make its presence felt in our lives. there are advantages like creating deepfakes that makes it a double-edged sword. Are we prepared to deal with these dangers as we hurtle down the path of technology playing a greater part in our lives? The fact is, AI-generated fake videos are now becoming a lot more common, and that's a serious cause of concern. And tonight, we are sending out a strong message. First, we are telling our viewers to not believe the fake video that we just showed you. Second, let's have this horrible incident and the many, many deepfake videos of others out there serve as launch pads for more aggressive action against deepfakes around the world. Deepfakes are dangerous, and there is no option but to win the war against this menace. Seeing is believing. That is what Gravitas stands for. And in this video of me that we just showed you earlier, you cannot believe what you see and hear. It's a video trying to mislead you. My ability, this channel's ability to influence people, is being misused to promote something I never endorsed. This is an attempt to tarnish my credibility, our channel's credibility, and this will absolutely not be tolerated. After mass-producing COVID-19 vaccines throughout the pandemic, the pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca has made an alarming admission. For the first time, it has admitted that its vaccines can cause a rare side effect. It is called TTS, thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome. People suffering from TTS, can develop blood clots and a low blood platelet count. There are at least 52 people, in fact, who have filed cases against AstraZeneca linking its COVID-19 vaccines with TTS. Victims and their relatives are seeking damages worth up to $125 million. In documents submitted to the UK High Court with regard to these cases, AstraZeneca said, quote unquote, it is admitted that the AstraZeneca vaccine can, in very rare cases, cause thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome. The causal mechanism is not known, quote unquote. And on that note, we're taking a very short break right here. Stay with us. You are watching Gravitas.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Je peux marquer pour le mal fait qui s'en va.
Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying on with us. You are watching Gravitas. There is some exciting news coming in from the world of science. Astronomers are optimistic that they have identified a planet which holds the most definite signs of life. Yes, we might not be alone after all in this cosmos. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, which is on a mission to study the earliest stars and peer farther into the universe's past than ever before, is now focusing on a planet which could be harboring alien life. Our next report telling you more.
Our Earth is covered mostly by oceans, and they are thriving with life. Microscopic phytoplankton produce more than 50% of the oxygen on this planet, sustaining higher life forms in a delicate balance. But what about other worlds light years away? The James Webb Space Telescope is now primed to hunt for undeniable signs of life on a distant exoplanet. This marvel of engineering will focus its gaze on a far-off planet orbiting a red dwarf star, K2-18b, located a staggering 124 light-years away. K2-18b has captured the imagination of scientists because it shares some intriguing characteristics with Earth. It is believed to be an ocean-covered world with a size exceeding that of Earth by about 2.6 times. This raises the tantalizing possibility that it could harbor liquid water, a key ingredient for life as we know it. Scientists are looking for chemical signatures in a planet's atmosphere that might hint at the presence of biological processes. One such sign of particular interest is dimethyl sulfide. This gas is only produced by life, primarily by marine phytoplankton, so its presence means there is life on this distant world. James Webb's ability to analyze the chemical composition of a planet's atmosphere through spectral analysis of starlight filtering through its clouds offers a new window into the potential for life beyond Earth. This mission holds the potential to answer the age-old question of whether we are truly alone in the universe. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Time now for our brand new segment, Gravitas Recall, where we take you down the road and tell you stories from history. We get you stories about events that happened on this day in history. Today is the 29th of April, and 75 years ago on this very day, America's 42nd Infantry Division liberated Dachau concentration camp. Dachau was one of the first concentration camps built by Nazi Germany. It was also the longest running one. The camp was built in 1933. It was in the ground of an abandoned arms factory. Some 16 kilometers from Munich, the Dachau concentration camp was initially supposed to house Hitler's opponents. But this camp became the prison for thousands of Jews, among others. They would be flogged, hung from poles and trees. They would be made to stand for long periods of time. There were at least 32,000 documented deaths at Dachau. Many of the deaths went undocumented. The prisoners were liberated on the 29th of April, 1945. It was a cold, sunny Sunday afternoon. 32,000 prisoners made it alive. Around a third of them were sick at that time. The 42nd Infantry Division of the US Army that liberated the prisoners found over 2,000 corpses near the camp. The soldiers said what they saw at the chow could not be put in words. In fact, one of the letters read, "The human mind refuses to believe what the eyes see." These are stories world leaders once swore they would not let repeat ever again. But are they keeping that promise is the question. That's some food for thought as we wrap up the show for tonight. Thank you very much for watching this edition and stay tuned to WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
The biggest democratic exercise on the planet ever. Decoding the multiple colors of this multi-dimensional, multi-layered spectacle. WION deciphers the images and the hues. Sifts real performance from rhetoric and noise, claims and counterclaims, populist pitches and hidden truths. Untangling, unraveling this celebration of democracy.
Over 200 people die following flash floods that rocked Kenya and Tanzania concurrently, with authorities announcing forceful evacuations of vulnerable residents. There is a new war front in